Today the story begins by showing two friends having drinks and having a good time. This guy is sure he's had too many drinks to the point where he started thinking about girls. After which he begins to talk about a special store that sells uniforms for girls. Of course, he shows these photos to his friend, from which he was simply shocked. Recently, this store has been very popular, and all because of its concept. He constantly goes to that store when he wants something new. His friend also thought that that girl was quite beautiful. The guy in the green t-shirt looked carefully at the images and thought that he had already seen this girl somewhere. Suddenly, these two idiots began to argue among themselves about the fact that a friend could not become interested in his friend's girlfriend. Ultimately, the guy in the green t-shirt thought that this whole argument was terribly pathetic. Even after returning to school, his friend was in a terrible state, but he was asked to shut up. The guy in the orange t-shirt has already drunk enough drinks. If suddenly his Hyung hugs him, then he needs to be grateful, damn it. Stop drinking so many drinks already, you stupid idiot. Okay, so he's going to go to the restroom, but the guy with the glasses said he doesn't have to tell him that. While he is gone, he decides that he can look at that photo again and think about where he saw that girl. Although it doesn't matter at all, because it would be very nice for him to meet such a beautiful girl. In his opinion, she is simply an excellent volleyball player, although it is useless for him to think about it because he has never played sports before. But he still wants to think about what would happen if he met a girl like her. Suddenly, this guy just runs out of the restroom and shouts that the neighbors are playing volleyball right now. Damn idiot. Why the hell is he trying to deceive him? But the guy in the orange t-shirt is not lying. He really wants to play volleyball and is terribly jealous of his neighbor. He saw how they were running right across the volleyball court. He became so jealous that he ran away. But our boy still thought that he was lying. He has no neighbors since his friend doesn't believe him. Then let him go and see for himself. Then they show us how these idiots really went to look at their neighbors. It turns out that his friend did not deceive him. His friend's name is Daegu, and now the guy with glasses is simply shocked that he told the truth. Meanwhile, the neighbors thought it would be incredibly cool if they had viewers right now. The lady also thought it would be cool. Of course she can count on it. She is apparently a master of sports and therefore tells her boyfriend how to do various techniques correctly. He was completely sure that she would like this kind of training, but the girl only said that he was too noisy, and it was better to start the game as soon as possible. She just wanted the guy to use all the strength that he had, let him prepare in such cases because he would no longer hold back his strength. At some point, she realizes that she can no longer play against him, and the match will soon end in her defeat. It's just that the blonde no longer had the strength to continue the game, no matter how he simply had to win. Our boy, meanwhile, was just sitting on the balcony and regretting that he had come to watch because now he also wants to play volleyball. What kind of strange people are these who play volleyball in an empty house? First, he had to get back home until he was noticed. But what a surprise. He hit right on the handrail because he had been watching the match for a long time. The pain was simply incredibly hellish. For some reason, they show us how he imagines himself to be Superman and decides to fly down from the balcony. For some reason, the blonde decided to score a goal at that very moment while she was distracted. It seems that he is ashamed now. He was so distracted that he didn't even notice that he scored a goal. The boy, of course, landed very poorly and also entered illegal territory. This is not how he imagined tonight. Of course, the fall was simply terribly painful. For a long time, he simply looked at the sky and then he realized that he needed to get up. But from such a strong blow, he simply cannot get up and loses consciousness. After this, the action moves forward 20 years ago, the days of Sangwon-dong. Why is he thinking about whether Ah-hyun's father and his father were best friends? It turns out that they built a similar house next to them and became neighbors. Since childhood, he and Ah-hyun were like family. This was his girlfriend of the same age. No close relationship, only communication like brother and sister. They constantly went together and the girl scolded him for always being late. But unfortunately, 7 years ago, Ah-hyun left to study in the USA. His parents also decided to move after he entered college, after which the main character was left completely alone. In the house where Ah-hyun lived, there was already a new neighbor, but she had recently left, so it was empty. And the main character simply couldn't believe that those idiots actually played volleyball in that house. Were they really the new owners? After which we hear the name Shin Hyun-soo. It seems that the main character is still waking up, which means that he has not died. For a long time, he cannot understand what the voice is, and the girl tries to wake him up. The voice that called him sounded incredibly familiar. The lady was so happy because he had not woken up for too long. She didn't even understand why the boy didn't recognize her. Apparently, he hit his head too hard that he forgot about her. We urgently need to put on glasses to understand who it is. Wait, what the hell? It can't be that this is the same childhood friend of Hwang Ah-hyun. While the main character was trying to understand what she was doing here, she was wondering why the hell he was sleeping in the middle of the street. The next chapter begins with the question of why the hell he was even here. It seems that our boy is just incredibly happy to see his girlfriend and wants to understand if it's really her. In response, she simply decided to hug her old friend so that he would be convinced that it was her. But the main character did not understand what the hell she was doing. She noticed that the boy had become taller but still looked the same as before. It's surprising that even their houses remain the same. The lady wants to know how his parents are because her family is worried about them. The guy asked his friend to ask questions one by one. It seemed that she was acting like she was crazy, when suddenly someone asked if the girl really knew him. She made an incredibly powerful grab and told Uni that this was her friend with whom she studied at school. It turns out that there were 2 other girls with her. They thought that the boss looked very happy when she saw him. Of course, she is happy because she and the main character were like family to each other. The boy was shocked that she was called a boss. Had she really opened her own business? It turns out that she runs a shopping center. It all started in America, but in Korea everything was not bad. So she decided to return. The main character felt as if he had returned to his school years. Then his friend decided that it would be right to introduce him to her colleagues. The boy thought that his girlfriend was too different from the girl he knew before. This lady's name is Shin Jung-hee. She is a photographer and the one who monitors the quality of customer service. This is a marketing director named Choi Yoon-hee. But the director decided to think about the fact that this is exactly the guy who fell from the balcony yesterday while they were playing volleyball. Damn it. Now the lady is definitely sure that it's him. Didn't the guy see it, although it seems like he drank a lot of drinks? Still, Yoon-hee pretends as if absolutely nothing happened and says that she is pleased to meet her boss's friend. Suddenly, the main character decided to turn to this lady and ask something why she began to worry. She just starts acting like crazy so that he definitely doesn't start asking unnecessary questions. In fact, it just seemed to her that if he was a friend of the boss, he could help them with the move. Their boss was one of those people who thinks before spending money. To him that there are really a lot of things there, but in reality this is not so. She has already moved all the furniture that was there. The main character was still sure that they had an unrealistically large number of things, but she thinks that it's not scary. The 3 of them will definitely be able to cope. All the same, the boy agrees to help his friend, but in return he asks that they buy him something tasty to eat. He wanted to seem like an incredibly strong Giga Chad, but it just seems like he took on too many boxes. Even a friend at some point warned him that he shouldn't strain himself so much because he could break his back, but he still wanted to look cool in her eyes. It's already evening. Of course, the main character is already too tired, but he still says that he can drag something else. Fortunately, that was all. Now she and her friend are leaving to pay off and let him rest for now. In the end, he stayed with this lady. She abruptly grabbed his hand and told him to follow her. Wait, what the hell is she even doing? Why does he have to go there? The girl turns out to be incredibly strong. She was even able to throw him right into the wall. She is not going to question him for a long time. She simply asks if he remembers her at all. Of course, the guy doesn't know who she is, but he clearly remembers how she played volleyball with some guy yesterday. Why the hell did this idiot even dare to say something like that in her presence? Just the main character wanted to add something, when suddenly she simply covered his mouth with her hand. It seems that she is now going to send him to the next world, and asks if he is going to tell someone about what he saw yesterday. Of course, the main character is also not a fool. He simply throws her hand away and asks what will happen if he tells. Maybe she will get into a difficult situation. In this case, the lady is going to ask what he wants, but our boy doesn't understand what she's talking about. Damn. It seems like an evil genius is emerging in him. Of course he wasn't going to do anything, but since she was the first to suggest, she might as well ask for something. She was just wondering what the condition of his silence would be anyway. The main character believed that Ah-hyun was his friend since childhood, and as her boss, she would have to know the truth. Now she realized that the main character not only saw how they played volleyball, but also overheard their entire conversation. The boy immediately tries to find an excuse and thinks to himself, because she was yelling so loudly at that guy, does she really think that he didn't hear anything? The girl is only interested in how much the main character knows, and he adds fuel to the fire by saying that it will be bad if Ah-hyun finds out the truth. Of course, she can only play volleyball with him. Let her hold the volleyball in her hands while she thinks about what he needs. But from the very beginning, the boy didn't even think that he would get such an incredible chance. He needed to take advantage of it. While the lady thought that the main character was as cunning as a snake, he himself could not believe that she was saying everything in all seriousness. What a weird battle cry, he said before picking up the volleyball. Too weird, but oh well. She herself couldn't believe that it worked so easily. It's good that he was just a stupid guy who fell for a game of volleyball. In such cases, he can take a volleyball and play with it until the others return. While the boy was simply enjoying what was happening, she asked them to start because they didn't have much time. It seems that he has a real panic at the sight of volleyballs, and how can he even start this game? Maybe do everything the same as the man he saw yesterday. If the main character remembers correctly, one of his best friend's girls yelled at him for playing volleyball like that, and she didn't understand why the hell he was worried so much. She asked why he didn't play volleyball because she said that he could, but he couldn't just start the game without preparation. And then the lady still understands that this idiot has never played volleyball before. Of course, the boy will deny everything. Still, she considered him a real child, and as his Nuna, now she wants to help him. It's better to start playing volleyball as soon as possible because his friends will return soon. After he finally decides, the main character is shocked because she is exactly the same person as him. Then why such a strange feeling while playing volleyball? It seems he decided to use some kind of technique against her, but she only allowed him to take the ball. It's just that the guy is already thinking about how cool it would be to play a real match, but she thought it was nonsense. The problem was that the main character no longer understands what the hell he was doing. All his movements were not of his will, because he likes to play volleyball. Madame thought that he was too confident in himself. Even the boy himself said that this was so he asked for forgiveness in advance for what would happen next. That's right. He just starts the volleyball match without even asking if she can continue playing. That is why the main character asked for forgiveness, but it seems that the ordinary word, sorry, will not help him in any way. Now the lady considered him simply abnormal. She wouldn't be able to play for so long because she could lose to such a psycho. If he suddenly continues in the same spirit, then she herself will want to play volleyball, but this cannot be allowed. Then she still understands that in fact he is an incredibly cool player, how strong he can be. The game has been going on for quite a long time, but the lady decided that it was absolutely impossible to continue the game. She begins to swear at him because she is not going to play volleyball with a person whom she sees for the first time in her life. Then why the hell is he crossing the line? But the boy already apologized. He just took the volleyball ball, but she said that it was impossible to start a game of volleyball. Damn it. It seems that all this time the main character simply did not notice that he was about to start the match. That's what the girl told him about. Of course, the lady is terribly afraid because the boy has incredible strength. What could even happen if they started the match? To hell with everything she was thinking about up to that moment, she still suggested to the main character that they play a volleyball match together. At these words, the main character was shocked because the lady a minute ago said that she would not play a full match. The boy can't even believe that this is true, but she only confirmed her words, of course, that he now agrees to play against her. All her thoughts were only about the fact that our main character was quite attractive, and it would be cool to play volleyball with him. The problem was that the main character sweated too much during training, so it would be better for him to change his sports uniform. Still, she considered him a real man, even though he was too crazy. He looked thin, but at the same time pumped up. It's crazy. He can definitely become a worthy opponent in volleyball. It seems that he is really playing volleyball only for the first time, because he is terribly awkward to move around the field. And the girl in turn was simply shocked because she understood that he was really cool. In response, he complimented that she was also a tough opponent. While our main character stands in front of her like a real Sigma, she even begins to wonder whether she can even cope with such a tough opponent. This is roughly what the collective shock looks like. They are both surprised by the coolness of the main character. It's okay. The lady accepts the challenge, but the guy himself was shocked that she staged a volleyball match right here. While he stands and thinks about what to do, she understands that it is simply impossible to defeat him completely. She understood perfectly well that it would be simply unrealistically difficult to fight against such a thing, but even now its power is simply incredible. While these two were just playing volleyball, a friend and another girl were just returning home. The boy understood that the match would soon end, but still wanted to stall for time. He felt that he had to do everything the same as she did, which made Madame herself shocked. Meanwhile, the required password was already being typed on the door, and that was the end of their match. Now they urgently needed to think about what to do, because they wouldn't be able to simply escape. They started looking for them throughout the apartment, although they were literally in the next room. Right now, the volleyball match ended, just at the most inopportune moment. The friend, of course, just ran into the room and said, "Here you are." Apparently those two have flash speed, because they instantly teleported out of the room. So what will the main character order her to do if he ends the volleyball match so unexpectedly? He just asked for forgiveness, but it would be better for her to quickly change her sports uniform and leave here. Does he really think that he is the only one who can do this? The boy thought it would be a great plan to distract those two friends until everything returned to normal. He left the room and went to talk with other girls to stall for time, and she was left wondering what was wrong with that boy. It turns out that the ladies had been looking for them for a long time, and the main character suddenly appeared and asked what the hell they were doing on the second floor. Where was he anyway? His friend called him for a long time, but absolutely no one answered. But he only answered that he accidentally fell asleep. The friend began to worry that he was so tired, but most likely it was because of the drinks he drank yesterday. Now everything is fine. She just hoped that it wasn't because of them. Of course he denies it. Just let him finish his work because they all want to have dinner together. Suddenly, that same lady appears and just shouts that she likes the idea of having dinner together. Night had already fallen, and everyone was unhappy because the girl said that there would be a joint dinner, but in the end they just ordered a bunch of food. In any case, it was branded, so it will do. Still, Uni thought that their boss was incredibly stingy, but Ah-hyun said that they would have dinner together next time, of course. Such a statement is not at all credible. In any case, it makes absolutely no difference. The main thing is that there is beer and then the party will begin on its own. Uni asked the main character to eat as best as possible, but Ah-hyun didn't understand how long it took them to become close. But she only said that they became friends through hard work. By the way, speaking about the main character, right now the boss was looking for a male model to promote her business. Yes, but some lady named Seung-ah said that she would definitely introduce them to someone, but if she called someone like her, it would cost incredibly much. How could they afford it? Ah-hyun didn't know for sure, but she was sure that she could negotiate a discount for them. Maybe she had specific plans. And then Uni decided to offer the main character as an excellent model. This way they could save money well. But all the other girls were simply shocked by her proposal. How could he even be made a model? Even the main character himself didn't understand how she could come up with such an idea, because he definitely wouldn't make a high-level model. He seems to be Ah-hyun's crazy friend, and friends should definitely help each other. That's not what the main character meant, but he's definitely not suitable for the role of some kind of model. The girl simply asked him to stand up, but he didn't understand why it was needed. Let him leave the table as soon as possible. Let him stand up straight, straighten his shoulders, and take a breath to remove his stomach. What a strange ritual is happening. Ah-hyun also added that he should change his hair a little. The hairstyle is too strange. Well, of course he needs to take off his glasses. It seems that the boy still doesn't understand what situation he's in. But when all the girls looked at him, they were simply shocked. Is he really a handsome guy? Show me too. But he's really become cooler. It's not surprising that all the girls look at him like that, and his height is simply excellent for a model. Since they've already started, let him show how pumped up he is, but the main character didn't understand at all why the hell he should do all this for them. The whole point was that they were selling a special uniform, so they should see how athletic he was. You won't believe it, but the store that his best friend showed him at the very beginning of the story turns out to belong to his best friend. The main character got such a shock, he couldn't even think that it would turn out that way. It's possible that the guy has already heard about it. Although they don't sell men's clothes yet, of course he knows what kind of store it is. Still, he feels extremely awkward in the image of a model, but the ladies still asked him to do it because they needed a model for the store. The girls have just started their business, and male models are simply incredibly expensive. They don't have much of a budget. If the main character doesn't want to be a model, then he is absolutely under no obligation to agree. The girl thought that this matter could even be postponed, but the boy was shocked when he found out that he would postpone it for half a year. That was too long. After thinking a little, our main character asks if he really can help promote this business. The lady couldn't believe that he really agreed to be a model for their store, and the others were shocked by his straightforwardness. He thought that there was absolutely nothing wrong with this, but she was telling him some details of the work. The details could alienate him. Of course, he is shocked, but his friend says that the main character can refuse if suddenly he doesn't like the job. Damn it, but this is a request from his best friend. Of course he won't be able to refuse so easily. As soon as he started, all the girls except Uni stopped looking at him. It seems that he is too cool for them. Uni was thinking about that volleyball match all this time, and the fact that the main character is just an incredible player. It may seem that he is an ordinary loser, but this is definitely not the case. While the lady was thinking about his volleyball skills, the boy himself said that he was already tired of standing here, and maybe they would already say their verdict. Everything was already ready. They just asked their photographer whether they would get normal photographs with the main character. In her opinion, they needed to look at it in reality, and then the result would be clear. If so, our friend suggests that we could take a couple of pictures one of these days, so they will decide whether to take the main character to work or not. For now, the ladies just decided to joke with him, because he is now their model, but he clearly didn't like such jokes. There was nothing wrong with that, because his best friend would definitely take care of him, but for now they needed to have fun. The time has come to say goodbye, and our Ani is the first to leave. The lady also decided that she needed to leave to rest, and it seems that now the main character will stay with his friend. She was so glad that she was able to see her friend today, and hoped that they could still see each other tomorrow. Of course, everything will be exactly like this, but for now they say goodnight to each other. He was thinking about what an incredibly cool day today was. He finally got to see his best friend, and also found an excellent opponent for volleyball. Moreover, he was offered to be a model, and all this happened on the same day, when suddenly someone asked if he could come in. It seemed like a familiar voice. It turns out that it is Uni who is thinking that they should finish the game they started. Of course, he is shocked by this. He can't understand why the hell the girl came back here at all. Is she really going to continue that volleyball match now? It's simply impossible to believe this, and the main character thinks that she's just joking. But does it all look like a joke? This, of course, is just a great end to the day, but the main character was worried that his girlfriend might come back and see the volleyball match. He tries to explain about one guy, his best friend, who constantly spends the night at his house, but it seems that he has already left. It infuriates him so much that his best friend didn't even think that something had happened. Even though he wasn't at home, the lady wanted to start playing volleyball as soon as possible, and he couldn't believe that he said all this out loud. Of course he can play volleyball with her, but he wants them to leave here for another place. Meanwhile, we are shown the protagonist's girlfriend, who just decided that she could take a shower after a hard day. She looked out the window at the main character's house and couldn't believe that he just fell asleep so easily, because the lights in the apartment were turned off. It turns out that his friend also wanted to play volleyball with him, just like before. And here is our boy. He has already arrived in a new place just to prepare for a volleyball match. But Madame noticed that the main character was behaving too strangely, as if he was worried. But he makes an excuse that he waited too long for the match, and did not think that it would be today. She even gave him an incredibly cool nickname. In her opinion, he looks more than ready for the match, so now is the time to start. This is the crazy face she makes after she decides to start the match. Let the main character just relax and play volleyball as if with an equal opponent. Of course, he can't just relax in such a situation, because he thinks that he has a really tough opponent against him. It's okay. The lady is going to test how cool of a player he really is, so let the game begin. For her, it still turns out to be too strange, because the boy this time seems much stronger than last. What is happening to him? It's simply impossible to believe in all this. She was finally able to meet a truly worthy opponent, so she's not going to wait any longer. The main character realized that she was no longer going to use her tactics, but even so, she was an excellent opponent. The lady even manages to give a compliment, but the main character doesn't even understand how to react to it and simply says thank you. She only asked that the main character not worry because she could take care of everything, but shouldn't he also participate in this match? She just warned him to be completely focused on the match, so let him play to his full potential. The girl is also trying to teach him how to play because he still doesn't know much about playing volleyball, and that's how everything she talked about happens. Damn it. Now the main character begins to understand what situation he finds himself in, so now he will have to understand what he is doing, because she is far from a simple opponent. But it's also difficult for her to fight against him. He only made a couple of blows and she can no longer do anything against him. But it's okay. She thinks she can still win. She'll just have to try to dodge and make attacks when he's distracted. But even at this moment, she made a mistake because she couldn't defeat him so easily. The main character is simply shocked that he is able to fight against her in volleyball, of course. This is a cool feeling. The skill turns out to be simply incredibly strong, and soon he will win. Only she wanted to say that the main character should not take unnecessary actions, because she can no longer play against him. At some point, she simply tells him not to move, but the main character does not understand why he is playing exactly as she told him. In response, she again repeated that he should stop. Perhaps the boy did something wrong after all, but she just looked at him with a strange look, as if she was preparing some kind of cunning plan. She understands that she underestimated the boy, and now it is difficult for her to fight. But now she will use cooler tactics. The whole problem was precisely that the main character is a cool player. Although she has never played volleyball, she will still be able to win. The boy himself could not believe that he was such a tough player that it was difficult for her to play against him. He was sure that the stronger he played, the better. But it turns out that this was a mistake. Let him not think too much about what she told him, because with time she will be able to get used to it and play against him. Just give her a little time. Everything was exactly as she said. Gradually, the girl began to get used to his attacks, and now she is better able to fight against him. Even the main character was shocked by this technique. Now there was no more pain on her face. It seems that she really began to play much better than before. But it's okay because the main character is now going to carry out attacks much stronger than before, because he wants to win. But still, he still can't believe that they are actually playing volleyball. How could his day even end like that? Apparently, the main character turns out to be much tougher than her previous opponent, all because she practically lost to him. She wanted to ask him to play not at full strength because it's really hard for her against him, but the main character is Sigma, who won't listen to some woman. Over time, he begins to be able to use much more complex techniques, and the lady likes it. Now they are already fighting on equal terms. Well, this is the continuation, and it seems that the match will soon be completed. Of course, she was unable to completely defeat him, which means that the main character emerges victorious. This is exactly how their match ended, and now they are both just lying there. Exhausted after all, the battle was incredible. He just approached her and said that at the very beginning, he didn't even think that it would be like this. She didn't understand what the hell he was talking about, but he was talking about a volleyball match because it was very different from what he thought from the very beginning. Everything was much cooler. And while our main character talks about how much he liked the match, the video is coming to an end. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel and like so that the new part will be released as soon as possible.